Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's continue the series on arrays interview questions. In this particular video, let's see a linear search, maximum consecutive ones, left rotate array by k places, move zeros to end. We'll see each question in depth. Let's see the very first question, linear search. We have given an array and we have given a target. Now what we need to do, we need to search whether the target is present in the array or not. If we found the target, then we need to return it. What will be the approach for it? How can we solve this question? Simple, we need to loop through the array. If we found the target in the array, we need to return it. For that, what will be the thought process behind solving the question? Let me start with looping through the array of 0, which is equal to 5. 5 is not matching with 4, so no. Array of 1, which is equal to 8. 8 is not matching with the 4, no. Array of 2, which is equal to 3, which is not matching with 4, so no. And array of 3, which is equal to 4, which is matching with the 4, which is matching with the target. Now we can simply return result as array of 3 or the index 3 based on the question asked by the interviewer. For example, if there is no target found in the array, what we need to return? Basically, we need to return -1. That is also based on the interviewer. If he says to return -1, we can return -1, or if he says to return something else, we need to return that as well. So this is how we can solve linear search. Let's see how can we approach through the code. It is always better to count the length of an array and initialize to a variable, because whenever we are looping through the array, every time it calculates the length of an array, which will take some amount of time. To save that, we are initializing the length of an array at the start only. Now we can simply loop int I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. For example, if array of I matches with the target, then we can return the index of it, not the element, the index of it. If not, we can simply return -1. If no target found, we can simply return -1. So this is a basic code to write linear search. Now let's see the second question, max consecutive ones. What is this question about? We have an array which consists of zeros and ones. We need to find out the maximum consecutive ones, the length of max consecutive ones. Here the length of max consecutive ones is 3. We need to return the answer as 3. If we take another example, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, and 1, 1. In this particular example, we have the longest consecutive sequence with length 3. So we need to return length 3. I hope you understand the question. Now let's see how to solve this. To solve this question, I'll take two variables. The one is maximum and the second one is count. And initially both assigned to 0. Initially both assigned to 0. Now let's loop through the array. First element we have is 1. Right now we found 1, so the count becomes 1. Immediately maxi becomes 1. Okay. Till now 1 is the longest length, and immediately 1 is equal to 0, the streak breaks. The count becomes 0, but maxi is still 1. And second index contains 1 and count becomes 1, but maxi is also 1. We don't need to update maxi. Third index contains 1, count becomes 2, and maxi also becomes 2 because count is greater than maxi. Now in the fourth index, it is 0. Again count becomes 0, but maxi remains 2. In the fifth index, it is 0, count becomes 0. And in the sixth index, the element is 1, count becomes 1, but maxi is 2. Seventh index, it is 1 and count becomes 2. Max is also 2. Maxi, I mean count is not greater than maxi. So, and in eighth index, the element is 1. Now count becomes 3. Maxi becomes 3. We need to return whatever value present in the maxi. We'll see another example to understand much more better. Now let's see the example. 0th index consists of 1, count becomes 1 and maxi becomes 1. And in the first index, we can see the value is 0, count becomes 0, but maxi is 1 still. And in the second index, the count is, I mean, the element is 1 and count becomes 1. Max is also 1 as count is not greater than maxi. And in the third index, we have 1 again, count becomes 2 and maxi becomes 2. And in the fourth index, we have 1 again, count becomes 3, maxi becomes 3. And in the fifth index, we still have 1, count becomes 4, maxi becomes 4. And in the sixth index, we have 1, count becomes 5, maxi becomes 5. And then in the seventh index, we have 0. Now the streak breaks, but still maxi contains 5. And in the eighth index, we have 0. So no need of updating anything. And in the ninth index, we have 0. No need of updating. In the 10th index, we have 1. Count becomes 1, but maxi becomes 5. Maxi is still 5. What we need to return at the end? Whatever the value stored in the maxi. Now maxi is equal to 5. Now let's see how can we code this. The very first thing we need to find out the length of an array, int n equal to array dot length. Next thing we need to declare two variables, count is equal to 0 and maxi is equal to 0. Now we need to iterate through the array I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. If array of I is equal to 1, we need to increment the count and we need to compare maxi element every time with count. If maxi is smaller than count, then we need to assign count with maxi. Math dot max. Else we can simply make count as 0. For example, in the given array, if it is not 1, if it is 0, then we can simply make count equal to 0. And if it is 1 again, we are gonna increment it and we every time compare maxi element with count. At the end, we can return maxi element. This is a simple code to solve max consecutive ones. Now let's see third question. Before discussing about the next question, I wanted to tell you another question, which is the reversal of an array. For example, we have an array of 10, 15, 20, and 25. We need to return the reverse of an array. So the resultant array would be 25, 20, 15, and 10. How can we achieve this? How can you reverse the array? We have a lot of solutions to reverse an array, but I'll teach you the refined solution and simplest solution to reverse the array. I'll take two variables, start and end. Start is initially assigned to 0 and end is initially assigned to length of the array minus 1. Here the length of the array is 4 minus 1, which is 3. Start is equal to 0 and end equal to 3. And now I'll take another variable as temp, which is a temporary variable, and I'll store the array of start, which is equal to, let's say, array of start, which is equal to 10. And array of start will be swapped with array of end, which is 25. And array of end holds the value of temp, which is equal to 10. And every time after swapping, we'll simply increment the start by 1 and decrement the end by 1. Whenever the start crosses the end, we are done with the reversal. I hope you got the intuition, but I'll tell you another example so that you can understand very clearly. Okay, let me remove this. And now start is in 10, is in index 0, and end is at the index 3. I'll take temp as a variable and I'll store the value of 10 here. And start is equal to array of end, which is equal to 25. Now start contains 25, 10 is swapped with 25, and end contains the temp variable, which is equal to 10. So now it is 20 swapped with the 10. S is incremented by 1, end is decremented by 1. We have new values, S is equal to 15 and E is equal to 20. Now temp is equal to 15. Start should hold the array of end, which is 20, and end holds the value of temp, which is equal to 15. Now we can see start is equal to 20. We swap 15 with 20. and end is equal to 15, we'll replace 20 with 15. And again, start is incremented by 1, which is start plus plus, and end is decremented by 1, which is end minus minus. You can see start comes here, end goes here, which means start crosses the end. I mean, we can stop the looping. Now we can see the resultant array as this contains 25, next followed by 10, I mean 20, followed by 15, followed by 40, followed by, I mean 10. You can see the array is reversed. Let me code so that you can understand much more clearly. We have parameters as array start and end. For example, if there is no start and end given, we can declare as start equal to 0 and end equal to length minus 1. And we can simply write while start is less than end. Whenever the start crosses end, we can stop the iteration. The very first thing, int temp is equal to array of start, which holds the array of start value. And then again, what we are doing, array of start holds the value of array of end, and array of end holds the value of temp. And at the last, we need to increment start plus plus, and we need to decrement end minus minus. We need to increment the start by 1, we need to decrement end by 1. Finally, we'll get the reversed array. This is a code to reverse an array. Remember this, it might be helpful for future videos or future problems. Now let's see the next question. Left rotate array by k places. What does this question mean? We have an array 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We need to rotate array by two places. Let's say k is equal to two places to the left. In the first iteration, we move 10 to left. So now the array becomes 20, 30, 40, 50, and 10. And in the second iteration, 30, 40, 50, 10, 20. So in the two iterations which are moving towards left, this is the resultant array. We need to return this array 30, 40, 50, 10, and 20. We don't need to return an array basically. The maximum asks to do it in place. We don't need to return anything. How can we solve this question? Just pause the video, think about the approach, and tell me in the comment section. Again, we have a lot of approaches to solve this, but I'll tell you the most optimal one and most easiest one to remember as well. Let's go straight away into the solution. Let me remove this first. Okay, observe it carefully. The resultant array is 30, 40, 50, 10, and 20. This is the resultant array, and this is the original array given by the interviewer. Observe very carefully. We have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and k is equal to 2. So very first thing, I'll take 2, the first 2, and I'll reverse it. I'll do what? Reverse it. 20, 10. Okay, and remaining arrays 30, 40, 50. This both done. Now let's see these three, the remaining one. Again, we'll do reverse operation. Now the array becomes 20, 10, 50, 40, 30. Got it? Now I'll do entire array reversal. What will happen? 30, 40, 50, 10, 20. I have seen something. I have observed something. It is matching with our output 30, 40, 50, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 10, 20. Very simple, right? Just doing three reverse operations and we are done. First, we'll take elements up to k. Let's say k is equal to 2, 10, and 20. We are reversing it, and again we are reversing the other elements as well. Finally, we are reversing the entire array. We are done. Now we need to check, will this work for every condition? Will this work for all edge cases as well? What if k is equal to 5, which is matching with the array of length of an array? K is equal to 5. Do we need to do anything? Let's try. If k is equal to 5, the very first thing we need to move 10 to the last. So the resultant array is 10, 30, 40, 50, and 10. And in the second iteration, 30, 40, 50, 10, 20. And if k is equal to 3, 40, 50, 10, 20, 30. K is equal to 4, 50, 10, 20, 30, and 40. And if k is equal to 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Do you observe something? If k matches with the length of the array, we are getting the same. So we don't need to do anything. What if k is equal to 10? Still the same. What if k is equal to 20? What if k is equal to 100? We need to left rotate 100 times. We still get the same array. Got the intuition? We need to check that before writing the code. What if k matches with the length of the array? And we have another edge case as well. What if k is something like 7? Now in that condition, we cannot reverse 7 elements, right? In the first iteration, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, it's 5 only. We'll get something like null pointer exception or some kind of an exception error. What we need to do in that condition? Simple. If k is equal to 5, we don't need to do anything. So we need to do two extra operations. We need to do two extra operations. Now we need to do 7 modulus 5, which is equal to 2. We need to do extra two operations. And for example, if k is equal to 3, if k is equal to 3, if k is equal to 3, let's say 3 percentage 5, what will be the answer? We all know a modulus b. If a is smaller than b, then answer would be definitely a. In this case, I can say answer is 3. So it works for every condition. We need to do simple thing. Before writing code, we need to add this condition. K is equal to k modulus of n. That's it. It will work for every condition. Now let's see how can we implement that using code. Now let's start coding. The very first thing, int n equal to array dot length, and k is equal to k modulus of n. But before that, very small optimization. If k matches with n, we can directly return. No need to do any operations. If not, k is equal to k modulus of n. And the next thing, we need to reverse the first k elements. We can write a separate function. We have written already, reverse array of array, and then we need to declare the bounds. The lower bound is 0 and the upper bound is k minus 1. Why? Because for example, k is equal to 2, the array index start with 0, so 0 1 2, it will become 3. That's the reason we have to declare k minus 1. And the next thing what we need to do, we need to reverse the external including elements of k. So for that, array k to n minus 1, this thing we need to do. And the very next thing, we need to reverse the entire array 0 n minus 1. That's it, we are done. So this is a simple code to left rotate elements by k times. Now what if I say left rotate is done, I want you to do it right rotate. So if I give you a question, right rotate by k places in an array, how can you approach? If you are interested, kindly take it as an assignment and submit that in the comment section. Now let's see the last question in this video. Move zeros to the end. Very interesting question. What we need to do? We need to move all the zeros to the end. So the resultant array looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0, and 0. Simple. How can we solve this? We have lot of approaches, lot of brute force approaches, lot of optimal approaches, but I'll tell you the most optimal approach and most easiest approach to remember. To solve this, we need to store the index of the first zeroth element. Here you can see the 0 element is stored in the first index itself, that is 0th index. We need to store that so that we can loop from the next of it and we can swap based on it. Confused? Let me explain. Initially, I'll take a variable as j and store the index of the first 0. You can see the index of first 0 is 0. Now you can see j is equal to 0. And my looping starts from here itself. For example, if this is not a 0, this is something else, then we'll find out the first 0. Let's say this is not a 0, this is 2. And now let's say this is the first 0. What is index of it? Index of it is 2. Now j becomes 2. Got it? Let me take another example. 0, 1, 0, 0, 2, 0, 3. And you know the resultant array 1, 2, 3, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. And we have found out that the first array index is 0 and the j stores 0. Okay. Now j is equal to 0 and the loop starts from j plus 1, which is the first index. When I is equal to 1, you can see I is non-zero element. So we need to swap this with array of j. What will be the resultant thing? 1 will be moved here, 0 will be moved here. Okay. And j is here, I is here initially. J will be moved one place ahead, which means j is here, I is here. Okay. Now I is zeroth element. We don't do anything. We'll move forward. Now I is again zeroth. We don't do anything. When I is equal to 2, 0, I is equal to 3, 0. When I is equal to 4, you can see again non-zero element, which is 2. I is equal to 4, which is non-zero element. We need to swap this with j, 2 with 0. Now the resultant will be 2 will come here, 0 will go here. And j move by one place ahead. Now j is here, I is here. Okay. You can see when I is equal to 5, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, it's a zeroth element. We don't need to do anything. I becomes here. I will be here. When I is equal to 6, it's a non-zero element again, 3. It will be swapped with the j. J is here right now. And what will be the resultant thing? It 3 will come here and 0 will go here. You can see the arrays sorted as per our requirement. We'll see another example so that you can understand much more better. What is the first zeroth element? This one. And what is the index of it? Index of it is 2. Now j is equal to 2. J is equal to 2 and my array starts from 3. I is equal to 3. When I is equal to 3, you can see this one is 0. We don't need to do anything. We'll simply move forward. Now I is equal to 3. Sorry, I is equal to 4. And array of 3 holds non-zero element. Right? We need to swap with the jth element. Now j is here, I is here. What we need to do, we can simply swap this with this. After swapping, we can see 3 here, 0 here. After swapping, what we need to do, we need to move the j by one element. Right? Now j is here, I is here. Got it? When I becomes 5, you can see again it's a zeroth element, zero element. We don't need to do anything. We can move forward. When I becomes 6, which is non-zero element, we need to swap with 0. We need to swap with j, index j, which means, or I can say array of j. After swapping, what it will be? 4 will come here, 0 will go here, right? Next, j will be here, I will be here. When I becomes 7, still a 0, don't need to do anything, move forward. J equal to 8, I equal to 8, don't need to do anything, move forward. When I becomes 9, we can see something which is non-zero. So we need to swap this with array of j. Simply swap this with this. Now becomes 5 and this becomes 0. See, the array is sorted as per our requirement. Did you guys understand? Now let's code it so that you can understand the concept. Let's start coding now. The very first thing, int n equal to array.length, and then the next thing is we need to find out the first zeroth element. So for that, I'll take j equal to -1. We'll loop through the array int I equal to 0, I less than n I plus plus. For example, if array of I is equal to 0, we can simply store j is equal to I. We can simply store the index of 0th element into j, and immediately we need to break, or else it will keep on going and it will give you wrong answer as well. It will give you the last instead of first. Let me do a small optimization. If j remains -1, which means if the array does not contain any zero elements, then we can simply return from here. Don't no need to do any extra operations. If not, if that's not the case, if j is something which is not -1, then which means the array contains 0. We'll start int I equal to j plus 1, I less than n I plus plus. Now, if array of I is not equal to 0, then we need to swap the I with jth element, array of I element with array of j. For that, I'll take temp equal to array of I is equal to array of j, array of j is equal to temp. That's it. At the last, after swapping, we need to move j to one step ahead. J is equal to j plus 1. Very simple, that's it. We don't need to do anything. I hope you got the clarity on how to solve this question. If you have any doubts, please mention in the comment section. Let's see more questions on arrays in the upcoming videos. Thank you.